So, I know it can be hard to believe nowadays, but once upon a time, the Me Too movement actually used to mean something. It actually used to have a cause, and it actually provided a wonderful outsource, an outlet for women in the Hollywood industry who were kind of taken down by the casting couch culture that was Hollywood at the time. It gave them a face so that they didn't have to reveal themselves, which could then result in them potentially losing their careers or facing a lot of backlash for calling out certain actors or producers or anything like that. The movement made sure that for men and women who were suffering through this casting couch culture at the time, that somebody was there to have their back. However, gradually over time, the Me Too movement slowly turned into the Believe All Women movement, completely dropping men out of the equation, might I add. And just over 2 years ago, what might be their biggest hit piece yet, former Cy Young winning pitcher Trevor Bauer was accused twice by a Lindsay Hill back in 2021 for physically assaulting her during a sexual encounter. So, SA. And well, it turns out that all of that was nothing but a massive setup. What's going on, big dogs? SG Leo here. And in today's video, we are going to be going over how Trevor Bauer was able to fight back and win against the Believe All Women movement. So sit back, relax, and let's dig into this. So, like I said, just over 2 years ago, Trevor Bauer, who was one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball at the time, was accused of SAing a girl named Lindsay Hill. Before anything was even revealed, due to the power of the Me Too movement or the Believe All Women movement at the time, he was basically never given a shot to even prove his innocence, despite the fact that the woman tried to get a restraining order, which was immediately denied because he was of no threat to her at all, despite there being actual evidence at the time basically proving his innocence. And the District Attorney's Office of California, or LA, wasn't even able to find anything to actually charge him for. However, the MLB, being the cowards that they are, of course decided to spend Bauer for 2 full seasons, which at the time, and I believe even still to this day, was the largest suspension ever in baseball history. Now, Trevor Bauer, for those of you who don't know, has always kind of been a controversial figure, especially in the world of baseball. He's always had a lot of haters because he's never been afraid to kind of speak his mind, whether it be politics, whether it be baseball, whether it be blasting the MLB commissioner, any of that stuff. He's not afraid to just run his mouth and say what he believes. That's how he is. It does come off quite rude in a lot of cases. He's a very blunt and brash individual, and he's not afraid to say what he feels directly to you or anything. The guys even went out of his way to fight fans on Twitter or haters on Twitter who have like 5 followers. So he's always been a controversial figure, and because of that, he's always had a bunch of haters, which is fine. However, because of that, when this allegation was originally brought, there wasn't a lot of people standing in his corner. There was a lot of people sitting there go, yeah, he's a piece of shit, so he probably did it. And that was the end of the investigation for a lot of people, was this Lindsay Hill came out, said what he did, and she eventually posted some photos of her with a couple black eyes and what looks like marks on her neck, and it just didn't look good, right? So this obviously, like I said, led to the MLB banning him for 2 full seasons. Well, that case is officially over, and they have come to an agreement because Trevor Bauer himself made an agreement with Hill's lawyers so that now he can publicly talk about the case and why he was innocent. And oh my God, is this some of the worst things I've ever seen? This is like stuff you see in a movie. Terrible. So he actually went ahead and posted a video onto X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. So I'll let that play, and then we can comment on it after that.
Pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsay Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. What should I steal? She asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said. Being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, you got to get this bag. I'll give you 50,000, Lindsay replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, do you feel a tiny bit guilty? Not really, she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsay Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsay Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsay Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low. So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsay Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsay Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in. But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsay Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here, I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits, and neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021. So, as of today, both lawsuits have been settled. Now, over the last 2 years, I've been forced to defend my integrity and my reputation in a very public setting. But hopefully this is the last time I have to do so, as I'd prefer to just remain focused on doing my job, winning baseball games and entertaining fans around the world. So today, I'm happy to be moving on with my life.
All right, so like I said, it's like a damn movie. It's like this is something you write in a movie, where this woman or a guy comes up with some deep plot on how to become a billionaire overnight, and all it does is screwing over this one individual who has a lot of money. And in the end, they end up screwing up or something like that, and you find out the guy that has a lot of money is actually a good guy. Whatever. It feels like a movie plot. So, yes, this lady legitimately planned out to get this guy's money with a few friends of hers. And it makes me think that she probably, like, from the way she was texting her friends, this can't be her first victim, right? Bauer is the victim in this instance, right? What she did was plan out to form a relationship with Bauer, a sexual relationship with Bauer. And then, not only does she plan this out, she goes over to his house, she has interactions with him. I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube anymore. She has interactions with him several times. She even takes photos of herself after these, sending them to her friend, being all happy that she got to sleep with Trevor Bauer and now she's going to ruin his life. And then she either had herself or somebody, what looks like, kicked the crap out of her. She looks like she got, unless she's really good at makeup or something like that, she looks like she got the crap kicked out of her. Which, honestly, if you're going to go to that extent to try, I mean, I got to give her credit for that. She went to the extent of potentially, from what it looks like, somebody else came and beat the tar out of her, because all of the photos of her after Bauer, like Bauer said in his videos, after their interactions, she was fine. She left their house. He was never overly physical with her because physical to them was just like choking, I guess, and like maybe a smack. I don't know, but clearly it wasn't anything near as bad as what she said. And on top of that, she still decided to text message her friend about it, like this wasn't going to come back in her face. No pun intended. But she basically tried to swindle this guy. And all I can say is rule number one, you shouldn't be texting people your plans. You shouldn't be because those are so easily traceable. And from Trevor Bauer's standpoint, he has had these texts for a while. He just wasn't able to speak on it due to the binding legal contract that he was in at the time. So the settlement that he ended up having with this girl was that now he is allowed to talk about this because again, this did damage his name. This did make him look like a terrible individual. Because of that, he lost his job in at the MLB. He had to go play over in Japan, which he's still doing now, I believe. It made him look like an even bigger asshole than he already was, right? Like it made him look like the supreme, just worst person on the planet at the time. And it all ended up being fake. And all this just really leads me to this whole controversy with the Me Too movement. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I really do believe that the Me Too movement was a great start. It really was. There was a lot of people in Hollywood, and even still to this day in the P star industry, that are kind of just exploited. They're put into really terrible contracts. They're told that if they want to make it, they have to sleep with so and so, and it's just not good, right? All of it is very immoral. All of it is very terrible, and even in the sense that it is consensual, it really isn't. If you're saying, "Hey, either do this, or I'm gonna like ruin your name, or I'm gonna ruin your career," that's really not consensual. That's blackmailing. That's what that is. And so the Me Too movement at the time, like I stated, really became this face for a lot of people who were scared to talk about it. However, it became a really sad movement when there were a few accusationers or a few accusers, a few women out there who were lying. The problem was is instead of people taking the time to actually look at the evidence because they just started believing all these women because right away there was a lot of people like Dan Schneider and a lot of these other individuals who it was just clear, open, and closed cases. So it made everyone believe that this just happens with everyone. So it must be true every time. And there was other professional athletes that were accused and lost their careers or soon to be professional athletes, weren't able to become professional athletes or become actors or producers or anything like that because of these allegations, just for them to later find out that nothing actually happened. These people just wanted to ruin their lives or wanted them to feel bad for them. I remember one case, a lady did that to a guy just to make a different guy feel bad for her so he would date her, which is insane. So the Me Too movement, like I said, basically became a believe all women movement. And if you didn't believe these women, you were a sexist pig and you hated women, which isn't the case. We have a rule in this country, which is you are innocent until proven guilty. Because if you're always guilty until proven innocent, you're never going to be innocent again. You're not. Because if everyone sees you as guilty right away, even if you're proven innocent after, everyone's really already made their mind up about you. And that's kind of what happened with Trevor Bauer. Everyone didn't like the guy from the get go. And so the moment any of this was released, they just called him guilty. Now, I really do hope that Bauer's able to come back to the MLB. I know he was released by the Dodgers. And so anybody at this time can pick him up for like 70 grand a year or 700 grand a year, which is nothing. He was getting paid like $100 million over 3 years with the Dodgers. And, I'm a Twins fan. So honestly, Minnesota, we could use the help. Our bullpen's pretty good actually right now, but I would love to see him get signed to a team. I know he's a very abrasive figure, and I know a lot of people in the league itself don't really like him. But from what I've seen, I don't think anybody doesn't want him to be able to come back to the league. I just think a lot of people don't want to play with him because not because of what happened here, but because he's just an asshole outside of this. But anyways, guys, that is all I got for you today. Let me know what you think about the whole situation down below. Don't forget to come check me out on all of my socials. Links will be down in the in the description below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until the next video, guys, Godspeed.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body in Harvard above me.